got a spicy
What's up? What's
subject
up?
today. We got a spicy subject today in FLM. Today we are discussing the frauds of our league. Who's acting like they're up there, but they're really not. Well, I don't know. I have a couple guys in mind, but let's take turns. Today we got Manager FanDuel, Manager Yeezy, and Manager Chipotle with us discussing the FLM frauds. Let's start with you, Manager FanDuel. You had a smile on your face ever since this video started. Let's get a shout out here.
Yeah, so first of always all love to all the managers. I know some of them are competing harder than others, but still they're putting in their time and effort for the most part. So always got to show love to the managers out there who are definitely trying and competing for the season. Now for me, first, what do I classify as a fraud? To be a fraud, I think you have to be already you have to be having a winning record, but clearly you're a fraud if your record doesn't indicate who you really are. And when I look at League FLM, when I see FLM, the first manager for me that pops out is manager Costco. Um, he has a winning record currently at 5-3. Seemingly has a massive running back reserve, on his roster. Yet he is the only manager with a winning record who has more points allowed than points forced. So let's let that sink in for a second here. He is the only manager who has scored less as a total than the amount of points his opponents have scored with a winning record. I mean, I think that in and of itself says a lot right there about the type of team he has, the type of roster he has. He's gotten pretty lucky with matchups. But 5-3, and to have that stat right there, I think says it all. So for me, the biggest fraud I think is Team Costco.
In Costco, and yeah, I mean like you said, the points for the points guess is kind of sus. It's kind of sus. I see what you mean, and some questionable lineup moves with Costco over the weeks too. But I can definitely see why you claim Manager Costco as a fraud. Manager Yeezy, who do you got for us today?
The answer I'm going to say is in my division, Corona. It's not USC. He doesn't have a good enough record. I'm going to call out McDougal's.
McDougal's the number
7-1.
one.
That's wild.
Wow.
Fraud.
Big fraud.
Yes, he does have the greatest fantasy football player in mankind. Yes, he does have 3 very, very good running backs. However, I really, really do think that Justin Jefferson now took a bit of a hit with Kirk Cousins being out. I do think that some of his other receivers are very... Now, I'm pulling up his team in front of me so I can get some players. Yeah. Chris Olave. He's not the second or third round pick most people drafted him to be this season. I feel like a lot is going wrong in New Orleans. Derek Carr keeps dumping it off to Kamara, and now that does help him. But I feel like Olave is underperforming. Drake London. I don't trust any pass catcher out there in Atlanta, I'll be honest. And then we got George Pickens. He has built some good rapport with, quarterback Kenny Pickett. However, he was injured this past week. He's gone into play Thursday night. I feel like George Pickens isn't the talent that you're hoping for. Now, the talent, okay, just based on player talent, it's there. I'm looking at the offenses mainly. We're talking about a Saints offense. We're talking about Falcons offense. We're talking about Steelers offense. Any given Sunday, those 3 offenses could be shut down. They might not perform, and that's very, very real reality. Kyle Pitts as a tight end, we know what happens with Kyle Pitts. Don't trust him whatsoever. So I'm going to call it, McDougal's will be a first. Technically, he'll get the bye. He will be a second round exit from the playoffs. He'll be 0-1 in his career in the playoffs. Might have an amazing record, might win MVP, but I'm calling him out. I'm calling him a fraud. McDougal's is a fraud.
Number 1 team in FLM. Fraud by Manager Easy. Interesting take.
Could it be another could it be another season where the MVP falters? That'll definitely be something to look for.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. All right, Manager Chipotle, you're on the clock. Who do you got as the fraud of this season?
My fraud of the season thus far, I gotta go, Mr. DraftKings. And I'm taking a look at his roster, right? Obviously FanDuel, you touched on the scoring aspect of it, but I'm really just looking at the roster, right? I mean, Josh Allen, no doubts, great quarterback, but I'm looking at the running backs. I'm not sold. I mean, obviously Nick Chubb was gone. That hurts me the most because I had him. But you look at Kareem Hunt and Jerome Ford. I mean, that's a pretty unreliable committee. I mean, you can't really determine, who's going to be that guy that's going to pop off. So I don't really trust Kareem Hunt. Rashad White, he's really good. Definitely has some upside. But I'm looking at the Bucs offensive line. They're ranked 29th in the league. So I don't know how much success he's going to really get. Even the pass kicking situation, I mean, I'm not really too sure how much success he'll get. Cooper Kupp, I think everybody kind of knows he's not that receiver one that managers are anticipating. Coming off an injury, and also you have Puka Nacua in the mix. He kind of slipped more towards like a receiver too. Deontay Johnson, I mean, it's hard to predict this guy just because he had a lot of boom potential, but he's been more bust. And you have George Pickens. It's a pretty crowded receiving core there, and Kenny Pickett's still kind of coming into his own, so I don't really trust Deontay. Travis Kelce's probably like the one reliable guy I can really look at. But if you even look at his numbers this past season, it's not where it was before. And obviously he'll get you numbers. He's a strong asset. But apart from that, I mean, I don't really see much going for him. DJ Moore, I mean, you got freaking what's his name, Tyson Bagent thrown to you. I'm not really big on DJ Moore. Tank Dell, I mean, that's a work in progress on that young Texans team. So I'm just looking at a lot of holes. I mean, the only reliable players I see is Josh Allen and Travis Kelce. So apart from that, I mean, I don't really see any strong assets in Manager DraftKings. So I'm calling him big time fraud.
Interesting. Manager DraftKings. He's having a.
How about you, Manager Prana?
I have a pretty interesting one. I'm not gonna lie. He's also in my division. Some would say the number 2 team in the FLM right now, but I got Manager Petronas as a big fraud. Big fraud. And let me explain. So this could go completely wrong for me because I am playing him this week, but I do have a 5-0 record against him. So I'm hoping luck is on my side, even though I'm the worst team in FLM right now. I'm hoping, just my team spices it up against Manager Petronas, gives him that yearly beating. And that's only week 9. Week 10, if you take a look at Manager Petronas' roster, first, he is playing Taco Bell. Taco Bell is a very questionable franchise in the FLM, let me just make that clear. But week 10, Jalen Hurts, bye. DeAndre Swift, bye. Tyreek Hill, bye. They're all on their bye weeks. I don't know what he's going to do to try to salvage that. Taco Bell, he does have some good players that hopefully that can take him down. But you take a look at the week after. He plays AMP Spinners. Pretty strong team right there. Take a look at week 12. Petronas plays Chipotle. Chipotle, pretty hot too. I think Petronas gonna lose a couple of games. He has back-to-back weeks against Manager Chipotle as well. Week 13, they're rivals. And week 14, we got Petronas against FanDuel. FanDuel has been known to come out with those victories now and then. I'm not going to be surprised if I see Petronas lose out from here on out. But, yeah, that's my fraud right now, Manager Petronas.
The current 1, 2, 3, and 4 have been called out.
They have.
That's interesting because Petronas is the leading scorer right now in this league. So definitely interesting to see how that will play out.
It will.
It starts with you this weekend.
But I'm imagining at least one of the teams that we've said today is gonna be a fraud, and it's gonna be confirmed. But thank you
For sure.
everyone for today for listening on. Please make sure to like and subscribe this video. Peace out.